We talked about sugar, talked about carbs, we talked about proteins, fats, all those different things, whole basis of nutrition. All right, we covered calories, all that different type of stuff. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to cover sugar, and we're going to go over how sugar affects the brain. All right, so starting off with sugar. All right, so source of energy. All right, what is sugar in scientific term? What is it? Glucose, yeah, glucose. All right, glucose, boom. Man, you're on it. So it's called glucose. All right, part of the photosynthesis chain. Produces sugar. All right, glucose. All right, so basically what sugar is, what are carbs again? What do they break down into? Sugar. All right, so in the class of carbs. All right. So carbs, they break down into sugar. Sugar is the simplest form. All right. So does anybody know any forms of sugar? So when you're looking at a label, what is a form of sugar? What's that sweet thing that comes from corn? What do they call it?
Corn syrup.
All right, corn syrup. What's the front part of it? And fruit's a sugar, right? It's called fructose. Has anybody ever heard of that? All right, so that's one form of sugar, fructose. Forms of sugar, fructose. Has anybody ever heard of lactose?
Yes.
All right, where does that come from? Milk. Lactose intolerant. Your stomach gets messed up. It's not due to the milk itself. All right, it's due to the sugar that's in milk. Does that make sense? All right, sweet. Another one. Maltose. All right, that's another one. Glucose is one of them. We covered that one. Sucrose. So, big thing on this. When you read a label, all right, if you want to know if there's sugar, hidden sugars in your thing that you're eating, all right, look at the ingredients. All right, so whenever you look at this, you go to the ingredients. So this syrup right here, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. So not only does it have corn syrup in it, corn syrup sounds natural, right? Sounds more like a natural thing. High fructose corn syrup is the manufactured part of it. They put the added sugar into it. So when you look at sugar, all right, so corn syrup is your sugar that everything's coming from. The added sugar would be the high fructose corn syrup. That's made in the lab. They put it in your syrup. All right. That's the only ones it has in there. So if you ever look and you want to know however many sugars are in what you're eating, you just have to find those in the ingredients. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, sweet. So those are the different forms of sugar. All right, let's look at some different things. Let's look at natural sugars. What are some forms of natural sugar? Just go ahead and tell me. We talked about it earlier with the calories. What did I have in my hand? All right, so apples. So fruit, right? Is that a natural sugar? It's nice and sweet. All right, what are, I go over here. I pull this out. What is this?
Mustard.
A mustard green, but what is it? Form of food? Vegetable, yeah. Vegetables. That's natural sugar. All right? Veggies. Let's look at something else. What do you drink in the morning that's pretty good? It tastes real good. Nice and sweet. Apple juice. All right, it's a juice, fruit juice. It's another one. What's that other one that bees produce? Honey, yes. Honey. All right, so these are your natural sugars. All right, does this all make sense?
Yes.
All right. So, oh, another one. What's that? What's that one that you can get and you can put in your, you go to like nice coffee places and they have it. It says raw sugar, right? So that's sugar cane. Sugar cane is one of them. The sugar cane. Boom. All right, so do all the natural sugars make sense?
Yes.
All right, sweet. Next thing. Oh, I forgot one of these. Dextrose is another one. Just so you know. This is all it needs to know once we get into your food logs and different things like that. So, taste. I'll draw a nice little diagram picture for you. You ready? Y'all like my drawings? They're pretty cool. All right, so boom. All right, so let's look at taste. All right, let's look at taste. What are one of the tastes that you taste when you eat food? What are one of them? Okay, no. Yeah, sweet.
Oh, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, you got it. Sweet. So sweet, that would come from sugar, right? All right, what's another flavor?
Sour.
On, so you got sour. Yes, sour. What was another one that you just said?
Salty.
Salty, yeah, salt. All right, salty.
Bitter.
Bitter.
Indescribable taste. That's horrible.
Is this food or not? I don't even know. That's one of them. So you got bitter, salty, sweet, sour. All right, this is one that you maybe never heard of before. It's called umami. Has anybody ever heard of that?
I've heard it once.
All right, you've heard it once. So what umami is, this is all your different taste profiles. All right? So you might have ate something like, man, this is just sweet, it's savory, it's got everything that I want in one bite. That's what umami is. All right, so it's a sweet, umami, savory taste. All right, so that's your taste profile. When we look at this, all right, when we look at this, would food be fun to eat if it didn't have a taste? No. All right. So basically, when you taste something, what's it doing in your brain? If you like something, what are you going to continue to do? You're going to continue to keep eating it, right? Something tastes bad. It's like sour. It's like, I don't really like this. Some people like sour things. Some people like bitter things. If it goes to your taste profile and you like it, you'll continue to eat it. Does that make sense? But if you don't like it, then you're not going to continue to eat it. So, when you eat that candy bar and you reward yourself, all right, and it tastes really good, you keep eating it, you're like, oh man, this feels good. Reward system, all right, that's the big thing with your taste. All right, so it creates a reward system in your brain, and we'll cover all of this. Reward system. All right. Mr. Bart, what's up? All right, so we said bitter, right?
Yeah.
Bitter. So this is your tongue. All right, this is your tongue. This is all the different things whenever a piece of food, your taste receptors along your tongue. All right. Sour. Has anybody ever had that feeling when you tasted something sour and it's kind of like on the ends of your tongue? Yeah. Think about it next time. All right, so sour. The umami taste profile is right in the center of your tongue.
You have to draw the tongue.
What'd you say?
You have to draw the tongue.
Yeah.
My tongue goes horrible.
Spicy would be another one, right?
Spicy would be another one. I would put it in salt category probably though. Or just your whole freaking tongue because it lights you up. So, salty. Salty goes right here on the edge. And which one do you think's right there at the bottom? Sweet. Taste it on the tip of my tongue. All right. So this is the tongue. All right. This is how your tongue identifies different things. Why do you think, as human beings, that we can taste? What do you think is? Just think of an old type of way back in the past. Why do you think being able to taste is good for survival?
So if you know it's
So-
like good or bad.
Yeah, so if you know it's good or bad, what were you gonna say?
So you know, like some days like poison like that.
Yeah, so whenever we did the garden, I went outside and that really nice thing that was sitting there, I'm like, oh man, that's lettuce. Thought it was lettuce. I tasted it, I'm like, pulled it out of the ground. All right, because that's my survival mechanism of taste. All right, if you're out in the wild, say older time humans, primitive humans, all right, say you eat that food, all right, and it tastes really good. What do you continue to do? Keep eating it, all right, for nutrition, minerals, all those different things so you can survive, right? All right, you're less likely in the primitive days to keep eating something if it tastes bad. All right? So, yes, all right, sweet. All right, so let's look at a reward system. So, when you eat food, do you think it's pretty rewarding? Good food? Yeah. All right. So, looking at this, what are some different things that go off this reward system other than food? What's something else? Just another.
Money.
All right, money could be one. So, what's something that? Let's look at. We talked about medication and drugs and different things like that. All right. So, drugs. All right. If somebody ingests a drug, will that mess with your reward system in a certain way? We look at depression. All right. People take. Prozac, Xanax, all those different things. It creates dopamine in your brain, right? All right, so drugs. Drugs would be part of your reward system. All right? So, based on drugs, can people get addicted to drugs, right?
Yeah.
All right? Because it's a rewardful thing for people, right? So, the reason why people continue to take those drugs is because it rewards their whole system. Their brain gets thrown out of whack with it, and they're like, oh man, I need it. All right, so when somebody's on hooked on heroin or different things like that, that's working on the reward system. That's why they continue to take the drug. Does that make sense? All right, when they don't have it, what are they? They're all strung out, right? They don't feel good. Their minds don't work the same. They're not as happy, right? So that's working with their dopamine reward system. All right, everybody remembers dopamine, right? All right, it makes you happy. Next thing, socializing. Has anybody had a pleasant socialization experience or like just had a good conversation with somebody and feel pretty good? All right, so that works off your reward system. When you're human beings, we get rewarded with socializing with people. All right? If you sit there and you don't talk to a bunch of people, you feel kind of like a loner, right? You're not getting that rewardful thing of having a conversation with somebody. All right, somebody tells you, hey, you did something really good. Or you're playing a sport and somebody's like, oh man, you scored that touchdown there, everything's pretty good. That's socializing, that's making you feel good, right? Works on your reward system. All right, another thing. Sexual behavior works on your reward system. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
All right? You have a girl or a boy that you've liked for a long time and you kiss them and you're like, oh man, I feel really good. All right, it makes you feel good. That's your reward system. You get a dopamine rush. All right, so does this make sense? All right, if you take any of these out of the picture, your reward system and your dopamine is going to be all out of whack and all jacked up. Does that make sense? All right. So what happens if you take drugs out of the mix in somebody's life? What happens to them? Withdrawal. All right? They're hooked on drugs, so they have a habit of taking drugs all the time, right? So, what happens to that person's life once they get rid of drugs? What happens to it? Does it get better or does it get worse?
It gets
Better.
It could get better.
It depends, right?
All right, so